this is not because I like Larry Hogan, even though I do. It's because he can be elected governor of Maryland. And I did tell him when I was here last month that, you know, in New Jersey in 2009, there were plenty of people who said, listen, this guy's a good candidate, but the demographics of the state are just too hard. There's too many Democrats. There's too many urban voters who won't consider voting for a Republican. The Democrat ground game is much better than the Republican ground game. You know, they'll get close, but they're like, they just won't pull it out in the end. And here I am, two-term governor now. When people in 2009 didn't believe, a lot of them didn't believe that I could win the first time. What we see now in Maryland, and you all feel it more than I know it, is a full-scale tax revolt. The fact is, the people of Maryland, Republicans, Independents, and Democrats, in overwhelming numbers, believe that Governor O'Malley has taxed the state into oblivion, that the Lieutenant Governor has been a willing accomplice in all the things that Governor O'Malley has done, that he was the person in charge of one of the worst rollouts in America of a health exchange that's now being investigated and should be for the extraordinary waste of money that it is of the people of Maryland. And what the people of this state are starting to say to themselves is, well, hold on. Maybe, and this is a novel thought, it was novel in New Jersey, maybe we should actually elect the most competent person. Cause it to take a good long look at Larry. And I will tell you, I saw parts of the debate over the weekend, and I thought Larry had the best line of the week last week in any of the debates when he said if he was rooting for failure, he'd root for you to be governor. And, you know, I think we now have the hard work, right? There's a certain now measure, and I can tell by the number of people here this morning, there's a real measure of enthusiasm now in Maryland and a belief that this can actually happen. The endorsements help to contribute to that. Larry's performance in the debate contributes to that. Let me tell you what the most important thing that you can do right now for the next 14 days, and I told him this on the phone yesterday. You have to raise more money. You just have to. This is desperate time now. Washington is an expensive media market, Baltimore less so. The fact is the RGA is going to make an investment here in this state in a significant way, and you need to get more people to invest in him. Every dollar you raise for him now allows him to be louder on TV the next 14 days and get people's attention. And he's too nice a guy to tell it to you that straight, because it's always harder when you're asking for yourself than when you're asking for somebody else. So I'm going to be really straight with you. This is going to determine the election. Most states I go into, I say, listen, we've raised the money we need to raise, and so now it's about the ground game and get out the vote, and you need to call 10 friends and all that stuff, and that's all important. But here, the most important thing is money now. The DGA has gone after him in a significant way. They've spent nearly $4 million attacking Larry Hogan, and they have a dead heat race. That's why they sent the president in here this weekend. That's why they're bringing other people to come in. And guess what? That's why I'm coming back, Sam. I was in Colorado yesterday, and one of the reporters asked me, you know, Governor, is this race in Colorado for governor really a fight over whether this state is going to be blue or purple? And I said, no, that's not the way voters think about it. And they said, oh, and Mrs. Clinton is coming in tomorrow, and we wonder what influence that has. And I said, well, let me just say first off, the voters don't think about what color their state's going to be. They think about what type of person do they want sitting in the governor's chair, making the important decisions that are going to determine the future of this state for their children and grandchildren. That's the way they make these decisions. And our challenge over the next 14 days is to make sure the voters of Maryland know that there's not only a choice, but a real choice. And that elections are not a referendum. Elections are a choice. And they, I don't believe, want to continue with a third term of Marty O'Malley. And that's what this lieutenant governor did. I also said to that reporter at the end of that, I said, by the way, I wish Secretary Clinton would stop following me all over the place. It's really disconcerting that she's following me everywhere. I was in Philadelphia, she followed me there. I was in Rhode Island, she followed me there. And now she's, you know, coming to Colorado today, and I bet you're going to see her in Maryland anytime soon. You know, the fact is that the reason this is happening is because the RGA has had the most successful year we have ever had in our history fundraising. The record before this year was Haley Barber 4 years ago, raised $76 million in a year. As of today, as we stand here, we have raised $95 million. Allows me to have the flexibility to expand the map, to come into places like this and say, you know what, we've got a chance to win. It wasn't originally in the budget, so I just got to go out and raise more money to expand the budget. And that's what we've done. And so we need you to do the same thing for Larry. I've gone out and I will tell you that the money has not come from people in Maryland. The money that I've raised to spend here has come from people outside of Maryland, who when I tell them we got a chance to win Maryland, they say, you're kidding. And I said, no, and if you give me an extra fill in the blank, you know, I can go and compete in Maryland. So people around the country are now chipping in to help Maryland. I need Maryland to chip in to Larry Hogan to finish the job. And so it's the most important thing you can do. So when you get that list of 10 people you want to take to the polls, look at that list of 10 people and see how many of them can write a check. And it doesn't matter what size the check is. Because at this point, every dollar he can turn around and put on TV and increase the volume of his TV. More people will see it, more people will absorb it, and I believe more people will be persuaded when they see Larry, when they hear his message, and they know that their vote for Larry Hogan is not a wasted vote. It's a vote that's going to make history. And that's what we need to convince people. We already have the atmosphere in this state where people want to kick the Democrats out. But people hate to feel like they're wasting their vote, right? They don't, you know, they might say, well, you know, I don't like the lieutenant governor, but you know, the Democrats always win here, so I'll just either stay home or I'll vote for the lieutenant governor. I'll hold my nose and vote for the lieutenant governor. What convinces people that their vote's not wasted? 3 things. First, little things. They see signs. Put up those signs all over the place. Right. When people see signs, they think it's a real campaign. We had a guy in New Jersey who ran for governor twice, who's since passed away, who would have been an outstanding governor, lost twice. He was obsessed with signs. And I used to say to him all the time, Carrie, if signs voted, you would be a 2-term governor of New Jersey. But in this instance, it's an indication of a vibrant, active campaign. Second, like Sam said, get on the phone and call these friends. Let them know, I've met Larry. I've looked him in the eye. I've written him a check. I've taken a measure of his character. I'm not only voting for him, I'm working for him these last 14 days. That gets people going. When you say you've written a check and you're working, it's a different level of commitment and people feel that. The third is, how loud is he on TV? If people see more Larry Hogan commercials, they go, wow, there must be people giving Larry Hogan money. If people are giving Larry Hogan money, they must think he can win. If they think he can win, then I'm not wasting my vote. Why not? Hell with the lieutenant governor. I'm voting for Larry Hogan, right? Those are the 3 steps we need to do now in the next 14 days. And the RGA is going to contribute to that in a very significant way that I believe will be very helpful in persuading voters that it's serious, because we believe it's serious. We're the 4th element that you can't control, but I can and am. And so that's why I'm here this morning. I'm here to thank you, of course, for what you're doing and what you've done. Very important. I can't tell you how much a room like this in the last 14 days of a campaign does to lift the spirits of a candidate. He's working really hard and against big odds. And there are moments, I can guarantee you, where he kind of shakes his head and says to himself, is this doable? You don't say it out loud when you're the candidate, but you feel it. And what lifts those spirits is a room filled like this of other people who've said, you know what, I believe in you. And when you walk out of a room like this, when he goes to one of his centers with volunteers making phone calls and knocking on doors, you say to yourself, man, if all these people believe, maybe I really can do it. So lifting up his spirits is great. Writing the checks and raising the checks that you brought here this morning, incredibly important. And lastly, just words of encouragement to the candidate are really important for you to do too. These last 14 days, believe me, now that they see, and believe me, they see the same things we see. You know, there are no secrets in this business. There are no secrets. They see the same numbers we see. That's why the president was here, and that's why there's going to be a cavalcade of Democratic stars coming through this state in the next 14 days. And in those moments, What you need to understand is they don't matter nearly as much as you do. In the last weekend of my race, Bill Clinton came in on Saturday, and the President of the United States came in and did 3 rallies in 3 different cities in New Jersey the Sunday before the election. You know why I was thrilled by that? Because every activist who could be making calls or knocking on doors was sitting in arenas in New Jersey listening to the President of the United States. What were our folks doing? Our folks were making phone calls, knocking on doors, and doing the things you need to do in the last week of a campaign. So, believe it or not, you're more important than the President of the United States, you're more important than Secretary Clinton, you're more important than President Clinton, and you're more important than me. The fact is, we'll come in and do the thing we do. And our money will be here, and we'll do all that we need to do to try to help. But, what's more important is what you're going to do. And if you believe and you're willing to do the work that needs to be done for the next 14 days, I mean, let's face it, folks, we're not talking about 14 months. We're on 14 days. I mean, you could hang from your thumbs for 14 days. I mean, we could do anything for 14 days if we believe in it enough. Now, everybody has a lot of things in their life. We have our children, our professions, and all the other vocations that we're involved in. Those are all important. But for 14 days, let's try to put at least some of that aside, that we can, and carve out that time for Larry. If you do that, there's 2 alternatives for November 5th, right? November 5th, you're lying in bed, alarm clock goes off, news starts playing through the radio, and you hear, in typical Maryland fashion, Democrats been elected governor of Maryland. And you'll be lying there in bed thinking to yourself, could I have done more? Maybe I should have made some more phone calls. It's a narrow loss. Maybe I could have knocked on some more doors. Maybe I could have raised some more money. Maybe I could have done something. I can't believe we only lost by that little. When are we ever going to have this chance again? And you have a sense of real regret if you don't do everything you can. Of course, the other alternative is we wake up on November 5th, alarm clock goes off, news starts playing through the radio, and you hear, in a stunning national upset, Larry Hogan is the governor-elect of Maryland. Lying there is this: I was a part of history. I was a part of history. I helped to make this happen. And I will tell you something that Larry doesn't even yet understand, but he will on November 5th. When he wins on November 5th, that morning when he wakes up and he's the governor-elect, this guy is going to have more friends. And he's going to know what to do with. There are going to be thousands of people who are going to come to him and say, Larry, I knew it all along, buddy. I was with you. I could feel it. God, you're brilliant. What a strategy. What an execution. You were incredible. But let me tell you what he will know and what he'll remember that he doesn't even understand at the moment. He's going to remember who's in this room. Because the people in this room are here when there's no bandwagon, when there's no certainty, when all you have is a belief in him and who he stands for. I'm 5 years removed from that moment. I still remember the people who were there when those times were not nearly as certain. Congressman Ferguson's one of those people. He's here, that's why he's here this morning. He wants to remind me all the time. All right, he was one of those people. The fact is, you remember those people, and he will remember each and every one of you. And the reason that's important is because you all will have a shared experience that you will be able to relate to each other with just a look. When he becomes the governor and you see him, it'll be different because he's the governor then, and it's a little different. But you'll look at each other, and you'll know just from exchanging glances. I remember. I was there. You were there. And the satisfaction you'll feel as he runs this state in a professional way, with honesty and integrity, with respect for the taxpayers of this state in a way that hasn't been done over the last 8 years, you're going to have that feeling that you were part of it. You were part of what made it happen. I don't think if you're involved and interested in public service that there's a better feeling than that, to know that you were part of an enterprise that really changed history. And so I'm thrilled just to be a late hanger on here. I am happy to come on and be part of the team that tries to help to get this from the 5-yard line into the end zone. And that's where we are, everybody. We're on the 5-yard line. We got 5 lousy yards to go, okay, to get this thing into the end zone. And believe me, they're the ones on defense. We're on offense. They're the ones digging into the turf trying to figure, God, can't we stop pushing us backwards, man? We got to stop these guys. And you're the ones in the last 14 days who can continue this push and get it done. They're trying to save themselves. We're trying to win for the people of this state. There's a difference. And there's a nobility in the cause that you're pursuing. So that's what we need to do. I am thrilled to be a part of it. And if a guy who's from a blue state becomes chairman of the Republican Governors Association in the biggest year this association's ever had, and doesn't believe in good candidates in blue states that they have a chance, then no one will. I mean, God bless my friends from the South. I love them all. But I tell you, I told one of them, I won't say which one it was, but I told one of them yesterday, yeah, so what are you doing tomorrow? I was on the phone with him, and he said, what are you doing tomorrow? I said, well, I'm going to Maryland. He said, Maryland? Chris, what are you doing? I said, we can win in Maryland. And he's like, come on. Now, after you win, and you come to Boca Raton for the Republican Governors Association meeting in November, I'll tell you who that was. So when he comes up to me, he says, Larry, I knew it, buddy. I told Christie, I told him, why are you in Maryland? Get over there. I'll tell you who it was. So you go up and talk to him, you get a good smile, you have a good time. Whatever he's going to tell you, all baloney. We believe. We believe, and that's where I'm going to end today. You have to believe. Because people will look at you and they're gauging, is this politics or do you really believe? They can tell. People are smart. They can tell when you're just like, well, Larry's my friend, and if you could vote for him, look at that, you know? Or when you look at him and say, we need you. We need you, and I believe this guy is the best guy for governor, and I believe he can win. You say that to people in the next 14 days, I'm telling you, they're right there to be taken. They want to vote for him. Give them the reason to. Give them the reason to. You do that, you are going to have a great night on November 4th. And I will tell you, when you win when you're not supposed to, because I've done both. The first time I won when I wasn't supposed to, the second time, they called the race at 8 o'clock in 1 second. Right? So it was like 8 o'clock, Christie wins. My kids were like, that's it? But no, that's good. That's good. But when you win when you're not supposed to, it's a much better feeling. It's a much better feeling. That's the feeling that I wish for all of you for November 4th. I've had it. It's great. It's really great. And then you have the opportunity to begin to change your state one day at a time. And he's going to be able to do it. And the lieutenant governor is going to be able to do it. And that is a great feeling to have. So thanks for coming this morning. I appreciate it. Thanks for your support and confidence of Larry. And thank you for what I know you're going to do the next 14 days. Now, the reason I told you I was coming back was because I am. But secondly, it's because I want you to know I'm watching you. I also know the people in this room. But I'm from New Jersey, so I'll remember you for a completely different reason. I'm going to check with Larry. Are they all doing what they need to do? And when I come back next week, if you're not, I will not nearly be the pleasant, happy guy that I am today. I will be kicking some rear ends around here if we're not doing what we need to do. So let's do what we need to do. I'll be back next week. We are going to bring the firepower we need to bring in every way we can. I'm talking to other governors around the country who are willing to travel, trying to get them to come here to Maryland to help to work the turnout. We're going to do what we can try to do here to make sure that this one is a win on November 4th. He deserves it, and so do the people of Maryland. Thank you very much.